Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon if you're watching on the replay. This is No Brush Required. And my name is Tamara Grant, and I'm going to grab my co-host, Barbara Reade. Hope everybody's doing okay today.
Howdy.
How
How
are you?
Jinx on you.
Quick, buy me a Coke.
Oh. Is that what you do when you
Is
say?
that an old Saturday Night Live skit?
I don't know.
Buy me a Coke, and then I forget what happens if you say that at the same time together. Somebody out there knows, no doubt.
Yeah. Fill us in.
Good
no, thank you.
morning,
Roman's
Douglas.
offering me apples.
Oh.
I can't take apples right now.
Douglas,
Later.
good morning. Douglas, good morning. Luke. Who else?
Good afternoon.
Oh, yes.
Got to be in
Good afternoon. I'm so Vancouver centric, I know.
You are. And
Sorry,
there's a lot of Ontarians on
Ontarians? How do you say
Ontarionians?
Ontario.
People from Ontario. There's lots of us.
Look at all that bright stuff behind us today.
I love it. I'm looking at your gorgeous colors. I got some too.
I know, that's what I was looking at behind you too. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you tell that we are affected by the weather?
Mm-hmm. It's the opposite way. We're responding to the gray and the gloom and hey, we're getting a snowstorm tomorrow and I'm so excited.
Really? Well, it's nice if you don't have to go anywhere, right? I don't mind.
Well, I do actually have to go. I have a workout class in the morning and then I have a hair appointment, but I mean, it's like nothing is far away. I would snowshoe to get to a hair appointment, so it's that important.
Is it that long?
It's super, like, look, I got like Burt Reynolds sideburns. It's like, I feel like I'm shaggy. This is shaggy for me.
Yeah, I'm the same. I was at before we got on. I was like, oh God, hair up, hair down. I'm having a really bad hair day.
I have no choice.
I need to go to the hairstylist too.
Can I show off my latest piece of art?
You absolutely show off your latest piece of art.
I had nothing to do with.
Oh, kitty art?
No.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
How do I do that?
You need to stand back. Can you stand up and put your arm down?
I'm standing.
Oh, you are. Okay.
My arm.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful?
It is.
Queen Bee Tattoo in Toronto, and she's amazing. And it's peeling like mad right now. If I showed it to you close, it's like just I'm flaking everywhere. I woke up this morning, there were like flakes of dead skin, colorful dead skin, but dead skin all in the on the sheet. So sorry about that.
Just texture.
Yes, it is all over. It was like confetti. It was really lovely. But yeah, it's
beautiful.
It's great. I love it, and I have to tell you, it was. Of all my tattoos, probably the most painful to all that color. And apparently with color, you go really deep and you go over it and over it. And, well, I don't, but she goes over it and over it. So yeah, that was intense, but I love it. I'm crazy about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, remember the size of the red rose on my leg?
Yes.
That color, that took one whole session to do just the rose.
Just the red.
Such deep color.
Yeah. So and if you look at the needle, it's like, as I said, so what do you use for like the big areas? It's pretty wide, which means it's like several needles going in at the same time. Like
that's not to watch that part.
Oh, I didn't watch, but I did kind of peek over every once in a while. But oh man.
Hey, so here we go. This could be a new question. We won't put today's guest on the spot, but no brush required. Show us your tattoo.
If it's in an okay place to show it. Or not, actually.
Okay. Not safe for work. Not safe for work.
Yeah. I'm really excited about today's guest and about sort of the theme we've had all month so far with except for Rob. he deviates with these hard edge paintings.
Yes. Do you want to introduce?
Yes.
We'll invite him. Okay, so today's guest, I'm going to grab Kyle Sorensen while you
just introduced him. Okay, we're having on
anything.
Kyle Sorensen, whose work I have loved from afar. for many months. And here he is.
Hey,
Hey, Kyle.
how are you?
Hi, Kyle.
I have no tattoos, by the
Oh.
way.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're off the hot seat.
Yeah. I was gonna joke and be like, yeah, I've got one, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that. Hey, you're up in Halliburton?
Georgian Bay, so Perry Sound area.
So that you are there now. This is your full-time residence?
I'm up there like basically 7-8 months out of the year, and then I'm down Holland Landing, Newmarket area for the remainder of it. I always kind of consider that like my home base, but I always kind of say I'm like a bit of a vagabond. I'm here and there and all over the place. Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous. You're to me the nicest time to be up north is the winter.
Yeah, I know everyone kind of complains about the winter, and I've never truly had a problem with it, especially when you're surrounded up there. It's lovely. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I have fond memories of summers spent on Georgian Bay as a kid.
Oh, no way. I was gonna ask you too. I saw you commented on one of my posts, and I was like, I knew you were from out west. I had no clue that you used to live here or spent summers here, I guess.
No, I was born and raised in London, Ontario.
Amazing.
And so
No way.
my parents loved to go camping. We had one of those pop-up trailer campers that we put at the back of our Plymouth Fury station wagon with the throw in the back. And my dad was a teacher, so he had summers free. And so we spent a lot of our summers camping in up Tobermory and Flower Pot Island. And
Tobermory.
So your paintings really just take me back when I started to scroll through your. I'm like, oh, I remember. There's like a felt memory to them.
Yeah, there's something about like I grew up in Aurora, which is kind of like just north of Toronto, but like my family cottaged in Perry Sound for like a better part of 40 years. Everyone kind of just loved it. We'd go there every summer. You'd kind of feel like a sense of like home to it, which I always thought was interesting. And then we kind of went away for a bit. The family cottage got sold, and then my parents retired and moved back up there. So once they were up there and I started to keep going up there, I was like, oh my God, this is the place I want to be for sure. Yeah.
It's tough to come back to the city after being up there.
Yes. Yeah. Especially when I used to like obviously not do this full time, and I had a job down here that kind of like really made me kind of situate here. It was so hard coming back on weekends and in the summer, especially. It's just like, I don't want to be in a concrete jungle, you know?
I know. Yeah. Roman and I, at the beginning of COVID, we stayed in a tiny house.
Oh, no way.
Just on the shoreline of Lake Rosso. My cousin has a property there, and they let us stay in their tiny house. And I tell you, like, we snowshoed right out the door. We were like in the woods, but on the edge of the lake. And it was really hard coming back. Really hard.
There's definitely perks. Like we always say in Perry Sound, like if you want to get Thai food or sushi, there's no chance.
Oh.
So whenever I'm down south, I'm like, does anyone want to meet for dinner? Do we want to go get sushi? You try and hit up everything all at once. Yeah.
And then get the heck out of there and get back up.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, which kind of segues into, you mentioned you were part of the corporate world at one stage.
Yep.
I think, can you talk a little bit about that and transitioning?
Yeah. It was really kind of like, I grew up in Aurora. I went to school at York in Toronto. Did that. I went for fine art, did 5 years of that. Unfortunately, right after university, I immediately started working for like a large corporation that had nothing to do with anything artistic or creative.
Yeah.
It was event-based. It was actually a large conglomerate that had 7 or 8 venues that would rent them out for weddings, events, and whatever. So I started there serving, bartending, and then I moved into kind of more of like the sales part of it. And then ended up staying there for like 10 years. So it was only really until COVID hit that I was like, you know what? It was lucky because I was laid off eventually. And I say that not so lucky, but lucky in a sense. Laid off, and then just immediately, I had always still been painting since university, but obviously much less than I am now. So that kind of gave me the kick in the ass that I needed to like start doing it full time. especially having been laid off. I was like, you know what? I've got nothing else to do with my time right now, so I may as well get back to it. And just obviously Instagram's been fantastic for that because it's such a large audience that you can just share your artwork with. So that's been integral, and I know Instagram has its ups and downs, but truly in terms of a platform, it's been amazing.
And it's free.
And it's free.
I mean, people like to complain about it, but they forget it's free.
Yeah. And I really just try and do the thing like, you know what, keep creating, obviously. Post, don't look at the comments, don't look at the likes, just post it and see where it goes. Yeah.
So you really dove in was it during 2020 that you really decided to
2020 November I was laid off, and then immediately started painting. Luckily, like, friends and family were like, you don't have to go back to your corporate job, you can do your painting, just start doing that. And I truly didn't believe them. Like, I didn't think it would pick up the way that it did pick up. So it's kind of nice to have other people that were really confident in me and what could happen that way, especially by just utilizing social media.
Well, the pandemic, you know, for a lot of artists that we've talked to, was a real pivot point, because not only were we at home, our audiences were at home, and people had a lot of time to spend online on social media. They couldn't go traveling, so people who were not, you know, adversely affected economically did have money to spend on art.
Yes, that's
it was luckily too, like, I found that so many people, because they were at home, they were probably sitting in each room being like, oh yeah, that's kind of an ugly wall, or I need to put something behind me for my Zoom meeting. So it was lucky in that sense, because I think people were kind of reevaluating their home spaces, which was really integral for me, because that was kind of a nice little like segue into the market for people that
getting lots of highs and lots of hearts.
You are. Well, let's start talking a bit about your art then. We were sharing the last couple of days, and I'm going to just tell you right now, I've been on your website. I have massive website envy. I'm in the position of wanting to make some changes, and I'm scrolling through yours going, oh, I like that. I like that.
That was another... Sorry, what was that?
Your Instagram feed is gorgeous too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'd love to say that it's like, oh, I'm not paying any attention to it, but
no, I think you are.
It is one of those things where, and I think my Instagram has changed like aesthetically like 3 or 4 times. But yeah, I just, in terms of presentation, I think it's integral for me to really have like a nice, clean, crisp approach to kind of match how my paintings look in a sense. I sing for Wix, their website provider. I do all my website work through Wix. They're amazing, and it's super easy to actually like customize what you want your website to look like. But yeah, it's great. I thank you for your comments. Yeah, I did spend a lot of time on that through COVID, just being like, I'm gonna bang this out and try and get like a really nice looking presentation to kind of mimic like a portfolio and just be super easy for people to use.
It's very clean.
Thank you.
It's clean.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I bet you are a clean and tidy painter too. I am just guessing.
It's really funny. I posted something not long ago about my actual paintbrushes. Actually,
show us stuff.
I've got a really good example of what my paintbrushes look like.
Okay, it's not as clean.
No, I have so many art friends on Instagram. They're like, oh my God, I don't think we expected this from you. Yeah, but actual utensils, palettes are filthy. The actual surface of the paintings is very clean.
It looks it.
Yeah.
I am dying to talk about your process. Like, just dying to talk about it. You paint on Canadian birch panels.
Yeah, everything
so cool.
Canadian. What was that, sorry?
I think that's so cool. So you're sourcing your birch panels.
All Canadian made. So when I started, it was kind of just getting my hands on anything, but then, I mean, trying to make it as Canadian made as possible. I know I always want to kind of support Canadian companies, so I always try and get the Canadian panels. I do find them quite nice. I buy them all from Desairs. They have fantastic product. But yeah, in terms of actual process, it's always sourcing the image for me. Obviously, being on Georgian Bay, that's relatively easy.
I want to see out your window.
Yeah, I'm not in front
like
of it right now. I'm like in the tiny
oh.
little room right now. But yeah, if you check out my stories on
Yeah.
Instagram, it's
Yeah.
usually like sunset,
Oh.
sunset, sunset, sunset. Yeah.
Jealous.
But yeah, sourcing the actual images is part of the joy, I would say. And then I always say I kind of resonate with that like cubist approach to taking maybe what seems like a really complex image and just like dialing that down, just simplifying it with bold colors, really sharp transition. That's kind of what I enjoy about the process. But most of that I do digitally, which is kind of some people love and don't love. But I use a program called Procreate where you can actually just insert your image, you can draw right over it. So it's basically a digital sketchbook in a sense.
Okay.
So some of that comes from overlapping shapes onto images. Some of it comes from just recollections. Like it could be one place or two place in one painting. It's not always an exact replication of what's actually out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, then once that's done, it is really like a lot of surface prep, to be honest. Once I get the panel, I sand it down. I put clear gesso over the whole thing. Sand it again, put clear gesso on it, and then sand it the final time. And then that's when I actually project what I've done digitally onto the canvas, just to actually map it out.
Wow.
Yeah. So it is quite digitally based, to be honest. I use a lot of modern resources in a sense.
Yes, very.
It's interesting because last week we had Luke.
Luke, yes, yeah.
Luke on, and he uses tape.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at your work, going, "That's a serious taping job."
Yes,
If you tape
I buy my tape in bulk.
Okay, yeah, we got to talk tape.
Yeah, I usually like most of my friends will make fun of me because if they come and they see in the studio, I have like a tape ball that's like monumental that I throw out usually once every 2 weeks. So yeah, I go through a ton of tape. I have this horrible taping nail, which is like a hook, and that's just so I can like tape. Yeah, it's usually
that is hilarious.
If I go out into public and I have to like tap any type of like thing, I try and hide my thumbnail a little bit. Yeah, it's a running joke within.
You're not reaching for the scissors.
Yeah.
Okay, like, are you a frog tape kind of guy, or?
You know what? A lot of people ask me about tape, specifically on Instagram. I usually say you could use any tape that you wanted. I feel like it's all about how you prep the actual surface, to be honest. I've gone through blue tape, frog tape. I did a brand called Aranda tape. They've got a bunch of different, like super sticky, less sticky. They're really good. Yeah. Right now I buy in bulk. It's Duramax. It's just like a.
Write it down.
Yeah, it's honestly, a lot of people say you can get it at like home building stores. Some like dollar stores have it if you can find it.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like, I really, really like it. I don't think it's like the most high quality of tape if you were to like compare them all. But it's just something that I can buy in bulk, and I found that I really, really enjoy it. So I've just kind of stuck with it, to be honest. It's not as expensive as frog tape either, which is ideal. Because I go through so much of it, I'm like, oh, I can't be putting out half the value of the painting in a tape, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
Did you hear Luke's little tip last week about the gloss medium? Yes,
I know a lot of people that will like actually like seal the edges of all the tape with some type of medium. I've honestly not even tried it at any point. I think just for like the scale of paintings that I do and the somewhat complexity of them, to seal every edge not with my little thumbnail would be quite time consuming, I think, just for me. But I know we were talking through Instagram at one point. He was saying that in terms of tape and sealing, that had been best for him.
Yeah,
And he works on canvas a lot too. And I've noticed a big difference myself when I tape on canvas versus board. Again, it gets down to how well you prepare that surface, but if it's not completely smooth, then without the medium, you do get the leaks, right?
Yeah. At one point I did try and kind of adapt onto canvas, and it just made me so angry.
Oh,
It's just those little dimples in the canvas.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm trying to go for kind of like the smoothest surface that I can. So I just find birch is like the best for me.
Beautiful. And do you have anything you can show us? Just in case somebody's not familiar with your work. Or
Yeah. I've got this guy, which I just finished up. It's 40 by 40. Again, Georgian Bay based. I don't go too far off the trail with source images. But yeah, it's all geometric abstraction, and I say that hesitantly because I never know where my work bridges abstraction.
Yeah.
I always say I'm an abstract painter because that's kind of what resonates most with me. But I think there's room for
really hard.
It's hard, especially like a lot of people are like, "Oh, are you a hard edge painter?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, in a sense, but I don't necessarily like agree with that on like a historical art term. I don't think that's super. I don't think it's like completely honest with my work. I say I resonate with cubism, but again, there's interpretation on that too. So I found that I just say I'm an abstract painter because I think most people can agree with that, but there's room for interpretation for sure. And it's hard to put an exact label on what we all create, I think.
I feel like you need history to do that. Like my husband and I have these conversations all the time about what a certain art form is. And I'm like, it's easy to say in retrospect, like if you read a book and you see all these people who were working in different places, and then you can look back with hindsight and say, oh, this is the thing, and now we can label it. But in the moment, how do you label it other than saying we're all contemporary artists?
Exactly, yeah.
We're alive and it's now.
Yeah. We're all putting our own kind of twist on it. I don't think we could all probably say that we're not creating for the historical references. Like, I don't necessarily care if I meet the expectations of what was done in the past, but yeah.
Now, do you plan your palettes your before you start, or do you kind of let it evolve?
I usually do. Like everything's done. I'll kind of like break down the image into the core colors. Like this guy behind me, I really just wanted to make sure like these hits of orange were in it. So that was kind of my main focus. The trees were a little bit more ambiguous from my like concept sketches, but I pretty well plan it all out. Sometimes it'll get onto the actual board and I'll hate the choice that I made from a digital perspective, or perhaps it looked better digitally and it looks not as good from an actual eyesight. But yeah, I'm pretty methodical about planning it all out in advance. Yeah.
Do you do commission work? I'm just asking because I did see an image from BC or from Lake Alberta.
Yes, I just did. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Soames Hill. Yes, perfect. Yeah, I did that. I do commissions. I do get a lot from Ontario mostly, and then BC seems to be the next hit after that. I love working on the West Coast imagery because I'm not there. I don't get to kind of like play with that as much as I do what surrounds me. So yeah, I love commissions just because it gets me out of like the regular imagery, which is a nice like change sometimes.
Is there any landscape you wouldn't want to paint? Any kind of like desert or?
Funny because I did do. I had a couple that the husband actually traveled with Air Canada for part of his job. So he had all these cool photos of like aerial shots of the desert, and they did a triptych. So one was actually desert imagery, which was kind of challenging because it's so monochromatic in a sense. But I haven't come across anything just yet that I have turned down because of the imagery.
Mhm.
I kind of like that challenge of like going outside of my usual in a sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are you a traveler? Do you like to travel and
I
go to
do.
new places?
Yeah. We just, a group of my friends, we went to Newfoundland in, July.
Mhm.
And that was like overwhelming from a scenery point of view.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I still have so many reference photos that I want to eventually get onto a board, but last year was kind of crazy with catching up with commissions, which I was a little bit behind on, in gallery work. So hopefully this year I can get those concepts onto actual canvas.
I would think it would be endless. And even if you just focused on Canada, I mean, the landscape changes where you go. And yeah, East Coast is very different from West Coast.
Yes.
The
Yeah, no, it was kind of
trees.
even from like, I'm obsessed with sunsets. I'll never get tired of them. They could be like the ugliest, most underwhelming sunset, and I'll still find it really, really attractive.
Yeah.
So I find even with that, like I don't want to only paint sunsets, but I probably could.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's ever changing. It's always, even like from 5 minutes to 10 minutes after the sun has set, it looks completely different than it did before it set. So yeah, I haven't got tired yet, which I think is good.
Yeah, it's very magical. I told my husband when we downsize out of our current house, we're moving into a place that has a sunset view, because I like sunrises, but I can't get up early enough to see them. But I'm happy to watch the sunset every
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't do a lot of sunrise photos because I'm never up at that time of day.
See, that's what I catch is sunrise.
Nice.
Sunset, not so much. Well, I mean, I'm up, but don't necessarily see it. Yeah, we get beautiful sunrises here.
Yeah,
on Lake
you're
Ontario.
in Burlington, right?
Yeah, right on Lakeshore. So
Nice.
and once the bad thing about living on water is once you've lived next to water,
You're spoiled.
you can't imagine.
Yeah.
You can't imagine being landlocked where you just look out and see land.
I know. I know.
So it's tough.
Yeah.
So you have managed to get gallery representation. You've been working full time as an artist for 4 years, 3 years.
Yeah, like full time technically. Yeah, I guess since COVID. COVID was interesting because I started doing my own thing, and then I actually worked for an artist for a bit that was based out of Toronto, doing sales for her. So it was kind of bridging a little bit of my creativity plus the sales background that I had.
Really?
Once I started that, I think I only worked for her for about 2 months because it was just immediately something that I knew was getting back too much into what I was doing. And I hated that feeling. So I dropped that. And then after that, which was like June of 2021 is when I started full time. Yeah.
That's great. So you've had a year, almost, this is your second year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Wow. Yeah. You've done so well. And I think you've kind of people have found you, and the right galleries have found you.
Yeah. Super grateful. Like Mark and Blake from Cloud Gallery, which are up in Aurelia, they had reached out to me just as I was kind of starting my Instagram journey, which was awesome. They've been great. And then representation from Canvas Gallery in Toronto as well, which has been awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Susan, I'm just going to remind you, this is Kyle Sorensen.
Yeah.
Somebody say, can you remind us of who this
Who
amazing
the heck is this guy? Yeah.
Who is that guy? How do you get on the screen?
This is the problem with these lives, is if people don't catch the very beginning, they're just like, who are these three people talking? We let them come afterwards.
I've got a million more process questions. I won't ask all 1 million, but
Sure.
Are you a heavy body acrylic or a
Soft body.
fluid acrylic kind of guy?
I usually do a soft body. I kind of have 3 different. I like a golden open, which is like a slow drying acrylic. Liquitex Basics I use a lot as like a base on most of my paintings. And then Winsor and Newton make a good like a soft body acrylic as well.
So if you wanted to stick with Canadian, have you ever tried Chroma?
No,
acrylic.
and somebody just reached out to me, I think like 2.5 weeks ago about Chroma. I've heard really, really good things about it.
They're awesome.
You guys both have it. Oh, putting me to shame here.
And the quality of the paint is incredible. they're super color fast. They don't have all the same colors that say a golden does, but a lot less expensive. And I love my biggest pet peeve. My pet peeve with paint tubes, the golden paint tubes, is what happens if you use the tubes. They get messed up and everything. These are lovely.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
They have some really good mediums, and I will say they're my favorite gesso.
Oh,
I
nice.
only use gesso now because, again, it's much cheaper, but it's a great product.
For gesso, do you know if they is it just white, or do they do a clear as well?
I think they have a clear, and I think they have a black, and I think they have a gray. I mean, one of their favorite things that they make, we're doing a plug for Chroma now, apparently. Every year they put out a color called Vancouver Gray, and so it's a chromatic gray. And what they've done is they've emptied their dye pots for the whole year, and so the color changes every year because, say, this year magenta is the hot color, so they'll be making more pots of magenta, so there'll be a tint. And I love it. And then Barb gave me a cool tip. I put the rest of my paint palette.
Everything goes in here. Everything.
And so I just keep making cool grays.
It's the mud pot.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to check them out. I've heard too, you can buy them in like substantial like pots as well, which is good.
Yes.
They always find, especially with the open golden acrylics, is you can really only buy them in like milliliter tubes, which goes quite quickly, obviously.
Yeah.
I bet you Kyle would like Nova. This is American.
Yeah.
And we got to try Nova when we were in New York, and it's just this it goes on beautifully. It's almost like a fine face cream. It just kind of slides on. It's in between fluid and in between heavy body.
Which is what I always find I gravitate towards. I like that like kind of like melted butter texture.
Yeah.
And they're in pots as well, which is nice, right? So you don't lose all that paint. And
because I've tried heavy body quite a few times, and I just find that I have to like work it so much, and then by the time I kind of want to smooth it out, it gets like all nasty. Yeah.
So do you, when you're done a painting, do you seal it or put any special finish on it? Or?
Yeah, everything gets like 2 or 3 coats of matte varnish.
Matte varnish. Okay.
Yeah. I've been using, like, historically I've always used a spray matte varnish from Winsor & Newton. I've just been going onto a brush on, and I absolutely hate doing it. The spray is just like so easy, obviously. But I do like the finished product of a brush on varnish better. But I just don't like
stressful.
It's so stressful, and I always get like beard hairs in it and
cat hair,
little
eyelash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have
that
to like
one spot that you didn't quite cover, and you thought you
get it,
and you want to go in, and you can't go back in.
Yeah, or if like you overbrush and then it like dries all crusty on the side of it.
Yeah. Okay, what's Nadine saying there? I see wine in a 5-gallon pail. What is she saying?
White.
I thought I said wine.
I was like, wine in a 5-gallon pail sounds pretty good.
Where is she getting wine in a 5-gallon? Okay, wait. We are in our episode.
Yeah.
I have a question from Sonia. I'm going to say, as a Canadian artist, she's curious, where do you have your prints made, or do you print them yourself? Question, you do have prints on your website.
I do, yeah.
Thanks, Sonia.
So I do mostly limited edition. There are a few open edition prints, but they're all giclée prints. I do have a small scale printer. It can do up to 18 inches in width. So a lot of the smaller prints I will do myself, and then I outsource the larger prints from a company in Toronto. So all Canadian, which is good.
Do you print on demand? Do you do it print on demand, or do you? I can't remember from you do.
Yeah. So everything kind of 18 inches and smaller, I'll do myself and send those out, and then anything larger gets drop shipped through the printing company that I use in Toronto.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Good question.
Have a Desairs in Parry Sound?
No, God, no. We have nothing in Parry Sound.
Yeah, that was
art-wise. There's beautiful scenery, but no art stores now.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. We had to order everything.
Yeah. So Desairs is great. They have an artist program, which is like their pro account, which is awesome. They use Campar as a shipping company, which comes straight to the door. We live kind of in like a remote area that a lot of like big name shipping companies won't go to, like FedEx. So you have to go into town to pick it up. I've been working on 48-inch panels, which I can't fit in my car. So luckily those came straight to the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's handy.
Oh, so how do you ship them out then? What are you going to do with them?
Basically, I'll box them all up, and then I use an online company called ShipTime. So you put in like your destination, the weight of it, the dimensions of it. They basically give you like the top 5 couriers that can pick it up at your door.
Gotcha.
So all you do is box it up, put it at your door, and then they come by and send it for you.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good.
Favorite format, square or rectangular?
Square. I have to like push myself not to do square painting.
Yeah, I love square.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Commission-wise, a lot of people I think prefer rectangle because they'll either want it to go like landscape over a couch or over a mantle, or like really skinny for something at the end of a hallway or something. But even when I do concept sketches or anything like that, it's always a square.
Looks like you got another question there.
Can you read it? I'll read it. Any interest in doing more of the architectural elevation?
100%.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of a series last summer where I took like old kind of vintage hotels and motels and then did the same process of kind of like breaking those down into a simplified version of itself. But yeah, the architectural approach to it was really, really fun. This year, I kind of want to get into like figurative in a sense. I like each year to kind of like an exploratory series, if we can say that. So yeah, I'm thinking of kind of pulling figures from like a historical context, sculptural wise, and like doing the same process of breaking that down into simplified shapes. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah,
that was my question. What's on your agenda for this year?
Yeah, I think that I really want to try out just because it's something completely outside of my comfort zone in a sense, but still sticking to my same approach to painting. And then in terms of events, I have Julia Veenstra's Square Foot show coming up in February.
Yep.
And then I'm going to do the artist project for the first time in April. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And what is that? I don't know about that.
The artist project is at the exhibition center downtown. So I think it's like 150 artists or 200 artists. You essentially have your own booth, and then it's open Thursday through Sunday. So you can go, I think you purchase tickets, and then you get to see like unlimited amounts of artwork.
And is it April that it takes place?
Yeah, April 20. Oh my God, I don't have. No, it's April 12th to something like that. Yeah.
I got to go then because I have to see your work in person.
Yeah, that'd be fun to meet you in person too.
Yes, I'll hop on the go train and go and get off at exhibition and go say hi for sure. Because your booth is going to be spectacular. Have you done that kind of a where you have to man the booth and set it up and put the lights in it?
I've had obviously a few like solo shows, but there's less and more pressure in a sense. Obviously, just like coming out with so much product and artwork is quite daunting. But no, I've never done any type of like booth, show, market, anything like that. So it'll be interesting. Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll need someone to help. Pretty and I are going.
And Luke,
Pretty just said Planet Bar. We're going.
Luke as well.
Luke's
I think you just got a field trip organized.
Yeah. We're gonna have a group. We're gonna have a group show up. Yeah. I think you need good endurance to do those things, and because you'll be talking all day. Clearly you're comfortable talking about your work.
Well, and everybody who talks about these kinds of art fairs suggests you have somebody with you who can handle payments and contacts and while you're talking, because you know, you could have 10 people that want to buy something and other people want to talk to you. And
yeah, and I think I was reading through the contract, and it says you must be in your booth for 75% of the time or something. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You need someone to help you do the
so
bathroom thing too.
luckily I've got a really good friend. She helps me out quite a bit with my art related stuff. So hopefully she can man a booth with me.
Oh, Luke just offered up his services.
Oh,
too.
nice. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And there was a question about do you use Square for payments? Just curious.
I don't. Through my website, it's all done through Wix payments.
Okay.
Obviously, anything I do personally, it's mostly e-transfer or credit card, which I then process through my website. But I've not gotten into the Square, which would probably be useful for the show.
Yes, it is so easy. It is so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I can use it and set it up. It was a no-brainer. That's not my strength. Yeah. Oh, you've had a few questions go through. What is your most memorable piece of work you have completed to date?
A good one.
Ooh, hit me with the hard question. My most memorable, I did do a painting for my solo show last year, which was actually like botanical based. It was like a large 48 by 60 piece of sumac changing color. So it had like those reds and greens, which was really nice. It was something I've never got into the botanical or like the floral side of painting. So I think that was quite memorable because once it was done, I was just like, oh wow, that's kind of different.
Yeah. And maybe that'll be a focus another year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the interesting thing is when your work is so process driven, which I think is great because when you always know what to do when you go into the studio, right? You have a process, you know where to start, but you could expand that and you could work on pretty much any subject that caught your interest. Yeah,
and I think I've slowly been realizing that. Like, I think in efforts to not feel too like niche or too stuck in my ways, essentially, because I do approach creating as a little bit corporate. I think because I'm stuck in that mindset where it's like, hey, Monday to Friday I'm painting 9 to 4, like that's how it's going. So I think in efforts not to get stuck, I was like, oh, I'm gonna try floral and just see how it goes. Or this year I kind of want to try those figures just to see how it ends up. It might be a flop, but like at least you tried it and you experimented, which I think is integral.
That is so important, eh? The little risk-taking move.
Yeah.
It reinvigorates.
Yeah, even if it's just for yourself too. Like, I know last year I was trying to do every Friday. I would do more of like a experimentation or something that I'd not done before, not for sale or not for sharing necessarily, but just doing. It only lasted a couple of weeks, but you get so caught up with everything and life and working too is hard. But I think if you can dedicate the time to actually just do it, then why not?
Do you keep a sketchbook or is everything digital?
It's all digital. Yeah, I used to, obviously throughout university, they really drilled it into to like keep a paper sketchbook, like keep everything written down. I just love doing everything digitally. I think because I always have tech at my fingertips, which is horrible to say, but if I have a quick idea, it's so nice to be able to just like pick what utensil you want to draw with, pick what color you want to place. You hate the color, you can just wash it out and plop in like another color in. So I love, I know it's not for everyone and it's kind of like sacrilege to some people, but I love it.
Yeah, you know, but we use it too. Like one of the ways that I think we've all been taught to assess work is take a photograph of it. So you're seeing it really tiny and that changes it. And then you can try different colors. You can play and see, experiment. So no, tech is good.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't have to wash brushes.
No. And clearly based on my brushes, I don't really wash them that often.
Hey, mine are pretty clean next to that.
Yeah. That one's actually that one's not too bad either.
No, that's not bad. Do you ever get into other tools or not so much?
Not really.
Because I know we're all,
a lot of people ask like what or how many brushes I use or what brushes I use. To be honest, I could probably do a whole painting with like 2 or 3 brushes.
Yeah.
They're all flat. They all are like a nice long handle, and that's kind of what I gravitate towards. Like this brush here, it's starting to take a turn for the worse.
Yeah, it's got a little mohawk, a sideways
So
mohawk.
I haven't been using it as much. I've bought a replacement for it, which is so nice and clean, and it just kind of gets back into the circulation of like the 3 brushes.
Yeah.
I'm going to open the floor to questions. If anybody has a question, you can either type it in the comments or you can hit the question sticker. That way it sticks around longer than
So that
rolling screen, which we struggle with.
and people like me can't misread it, you know, with 5
The
gallons.
big bucket of wine.
Gallons of wine. And honestly, I mean, if somebody has a question and we don't get to it, can they send you a message or ask you?
Yep. Yeah. Sure. Everything's kind of on my website or Instagram. You can email me. You can just send me a DM. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
I'm always like more than welcome to help too. I think especially when kind of like obviously in university you learn quite a bit and you hone in your skills, but there's been so many people that I've reached out to be like, you know what gesso do you use, or do you find that you've used this product that is better than another product? So I kind of love Instagram for that reason, is you can just reach out to someone and ask a question and they answer, and I love the people that do answer in like in-depth answers. So I really try and do that with other artists too.
You know what, that's our mindset, eh, Tamara? Like,
absolutely,
share what you know, spread what you know. Like, why not? And you get back so much more. It just seems
it was fine too. Like then you've just like got to connect with that person, and there's so many people that I've met on Instagram that you then meet in person, and it's like that's so cool that we connected that way. Well, each other otherwise.
We went on a trip together.
I know,
that's how we met, right?
With a bunch of other people who were watching. Yeah, and I mean, like we've gone to wonderful workshops now. We're doing another one online and planning for the next one that we want to go to. Which I'm going to throw in a question: do you ever go and attend workshops by other artists, or
I don't
take courses?
Often. And sometimes I wish I could. I do really schedule myself in quite jammed. This year I'm trying to approach that a little bit different by giving myself a little bit more time to breathe in between things. So it's usually me getting to the galleries, like the gallery in Aurelia. They're really good, and they offer like an artist talk or like a solo show. So it's nice to kind of get out to those and just experience something outside of Instagram, which is really nice.
So I've got 4 questions that have come.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to fire them off to you.
Yeah, because I'm watching the clock here.
We're watching the clock. Favorite contemporary artists?
Favorite contemporary artists? I always say most of my favorite artists are people that have nothing to do with how I paint or how I approach art. I love CJ Hendry. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. She's working in New York. She's from Australia. She does really like hyper realist interpretations of like modern day items. So she did a whole series on like wigs where she rendered them in pencil crayon like to a T, which was insane. She hosts these insane openings too, where she'll like build color themed rooms and have her artwork that all matches like specific rooms. It's very impressive.
Wow.
And then I do find I'm really drawn to like architectural photography too. George Byrne, who's a photographer, is one of my kind of favorites. He does really interesting like color blocked photography of architecture.
Cool. Okay, question number 2. I'm going to fire these off.
Yeah.
What % of your work approximately is commissions?
Ooh, last year a high percentage, probably higher than it should have been. I took on slightly more commissions than I probably should have. This year I'm hoping that it'll account for about half.
Wow, that's that's significant. Yeah.
All right, Luke's question. The border on the piece behind you is not typical of your work. New direction?
The what isn't typical?
The border, he says.
What? This?
Yes.
This is just the side.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the
Sorry, we're
side.
looking at it like kind of skewed.
I thought it was almost. I saw it that way too.
Oh, sorry.
Good
We like
eyes,
more
though.
like-
Good eyes, Luke.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
It goes to the edge, Luke.
Yep. Just-
Phew. But maybe he's sending you on a new direction now.
True.
Um,
No, I just love doing like a hit of color on the sides.
Love it.
All right. Path is yours asked me 2 questions. I think these might be our last 2. Type of camera that you use for taking photos of art for prints.
Oh, so I don't like if I'm doing any type of print, I actually get the painting scanned.
Okay.
So I have a large format scanner who's also based in Toronto, so it's not the closest thing, but it really does catch every single detail, which is like perfect for making prints.
Yeah.
Anything for Instagram, I capture with my phone or my camera, but that's pretty well it.
Yeah.
Phones are good for photographing.
Yeah, especially newer phones. It's like, my God, they're taking better and better photos every year.
Yeah. Thank God.
And thank goodness, because not everybody wants to invest in cameras or wants to learn another skill.
Yeah.
On top of having to be their own social media marketer and
we got to do it all. We got to make it easy on ourselves.
Yeah. Exactly. There, Path is yours says thank you.
Oh, you are welcome.
What else? Great talk this afternoon. Everybody loves your paintings.
Thank you.
Square foot show is February, and how many pieces do you have in that?
I will have 13 to 16. I'm hoping to smaller ones. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
got it on the application. I chose my like top 3 booth sizes, and the last one was like 5 by 15 or 20, and that's the one I got. So I gotta work for
the square foot.
No, I think you're type of the artist project. Sorry. I'm thinking that's the square foot show. That's a lot. The artist project.
No,
so the square foot show in February, I'll just be doing 4 12 by 12s, and then the artist project is where I got to pour the steam on.
Right. Okay. So anybody who doesn't know about the square foot show, I don't know if I want to tell them because I might want to nab one of your paintings.
Yeah.
No, don't. I'm already thinking I'm on there because I get the preview.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, it's gonna be tight.
We're gonna be competing. Clearly.
I know.
That's good feeling though, isn't it? That people are competing for your art.
Yeah, I welcome it. It's great. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, I think we've had almost an hour of your time today.
I know. Sorry, I feel like I just blacked.
Oh no! We had other stuff we had to do, Kyle.
Yeah.
Come on.
We love
This is
getting to know you.
Yeah, you're exactly the way I thought you would be.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Some people surprise me, but I thought no.
Yeah.
I have an idea what Kyle's going to be like, and you did
I'm
not
boring.
disappoint. No, you're not boring. You're a hoot, and I love that you're so generous with your information and your time and your process. It's all great.
Yeah, and we just wish you so much success.
Thank you.
It's great to see people jumping into a full-time art career and being so successful at it.
Yeah, and I always say, kind of, if COVID hadn't prompted me in that direction, I honestly don't think I would be doing what I'm doing.
Nope.
So as much as it's been really kind of shitty, it's been kind of a blessing too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us would agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, yes. So thanks everybody for watching. If you're catching on the replay, just scroll down into the show notes and we'll have all of Kyle's contact information where you can find him on Instagram, where you can find his website, and you can reach out and ask him questions if you like. And we'll probably share some silly screen captures.
Yeah, sorry about that, Kyle.
What we do.
Like one eye closed, yeah.
You'd be amazed. It's usually
I'm gonna look for the one when Barb was like making the comment about the 5-liter bucket of wine.
Glasses help, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes I have more fun interpreting what I think I see.
That's true. That's true. All right, well,
we'll see you at the artist project.
Yes,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I'll look forward to that for sure.
Me too.
That'll be great. All right, and everybody else, remember next week is our episode of No Brush Required Reads. We'll just do that quick plug.
Right.
We're reading the mirror reversed version of Picasso's War, How Modern Art Came to America. And I hear that somebody told me Barb only has 500 pages left.
I'm halfway through, and I swear to God, I read it every day. Ask Roman every day. I'm going to read my book. It's a great book, but
That's okay.
Long
I
book.
read it.
Like
I read it. I'll
Stephen
do
King. It's like our version of Stephen King's The Stand, only it's an art book. So.
All right.
All
Thanks
right,
again,
well,
everybody.
yeah.
Have a great rest of your week. And Kyle, thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much
you.
for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me too.
All
All right.
Thank
Take care.
you. Bye.
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 Bye.